Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Influential Nonprofit. As always, I'm your host. I'm Mary Andersch. I work with nonprofit leaders to master the art of influence so you can ask for and receive everything you want, need, and deserve, and do it in a way that you're not feeling pressured, pushy, none of that icky stuff, because nobody likes that and it doesn't work anyway. And so we're reinventing how we do philanthropy to make it aligned and authentic and exciting. And I have a new best friend, Rachel Bearbower, because everybody who comes on my podcast is my new best friend. Where are you located, Rachel?
I am in Iowa,
Okay.
Northern Iowa, right on the border.
How did you land there?
The farmer was cute. True story. I'm originally from Washington, and I met a farmer out there in Washington, and he was like, "I'm going back to take over the family farm," and I was like, "Sounds like an adventure. Let's go."
It's like that reality show, like Farmer Met a Wife or something, and all those farmers were like trying to find women to move to somewhere. All right, now we're going to talk about creating remarkable donor experiences, specifically, using systems to create better stewardship. And I'm very excited to talk about that. And before we get into that, I always start with the first question, which is, tell me something you're really proud of about yourself that you don't get to brag about a lot.
Oh, that's a great question. What am I something that I'm proud of? Well, I will say that, these automation and creating these, workflows, it's a very techie thing, and a lot of people just like don't get it or really want to understand it. And it's something that I love and something that I really like. I didn't really talk about a lot because nobody cared or was interested or wanted to like get into the weeds of it. And finally in the last year and a half or so, I was like, okay, this is my thing. This is what I'm good at. This is my wheelhouse. And so really having the chance to like kind of bring it to life has been really fun. And I've let myself just have fun with it and not be so serious or be like, all buttoned up with like the marketing and everything. I'm just like, it's fun. And so I think like allowing myself to bring something to life that maybe other people don't always love.
Yeah.
So I think, and then my other thing is my garden this year.
Is it?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I'm pretty proud of that.
There you go. Okay. I have to say, what I heard in your story was just really celebrating and owning your authenticity. I love this. I find it exciting. And when you find something exciting, other people who will connect to it, right? And you know what I mean? Like, I love this stuff. And also you can have fun, which is like a big thing of mine. It's okay to have, it's okay. Actually, things that are easy and things that are fun are sustainable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I've always had fun within my business. I, have had, I don't know. I try to keep it light. I try to keep it real. But
Yeah.
but this, when it's tech, when it's software, you really gotta like you gotta cheese it up a little bit because it's a cost of doing business, but
Yeah, it is.
let's not.
All right. So now I think the thing is what makes it easy and fun, that's sustainable. And systems, right? Systems create sustainability. And because we're going to talk about better systems for better stewardship, systems create sustainability, right? Because when we are kind of making it up as we go, or you get in, you like make a bunch of calls and then you get distracted, and that I do this, uh, or, but systems create sustainability. And that has been my focus for the last couple of years. I am a very intuitive person. I'm a very make it up as I go person. But what I have found, the secret is that the systems support me, right? In the
Yeah.
supporting me so that I can stay in my relational zone of genius. So I have these systems that support me, that either people have brought to me or I've developed or whatever. And so that allows, in the sense of what I'm saying, and I would love for you to respond to this, carry this ball a little bit farther down the field, is systems allow us to have stronger relationships because they're supporting the relationships and allow us to focus on the relationship and not so much of the weeds of it all.
Yeah, no,
Go.
you're hitting on all the high points here. You know, if we peel it back even more, I mean, it comes down to time, right? Time versus money, money versus time. In our organizations, so many organizations just don't have the resources or the time, and so they're trading, you know. So it's they're spending hours and hours and hours doing repetitive work because they don't have the money to invest in updated infrastructure.
Right.
And so then what happens, you know, and this it's not just the repetitive tasks, but it is also just the general, you know, you start to resent the work, or you start to feel resentful, and you start
Yes.
to feel burned out. And when you start to feel burned out, then, you know, it's just this ripple effect. And so, yeah, systems are important. They're going to help you stay consistent. They're going to help you save time. They're going to help you save money. They're going to decrease your, you know, things that, you know, human error. But they're also going to reduce burnout and increase and that staff turnover, you know, because instead of focusing on the data entry or the things that are repetitive, are, you know, just not as fun to do,
Right.
you can create a system for it so that you don't have to think about it, take off some of that mental labor, and do some of the fun stuff, you
Right.
know,
Yes.
do the
Yes.
things, connect with your program participants, or have more donor conversations because you can, because you don't feel so drained at the end of the day, because you have those systems in place that allow you for that additional space on your calendar.
Okay. I'm gonna say something that I see. Sometimes I have seen in the past that people will use the data and all of that busy, I mean, I'm gonna say busy work, all that admin work, right? Not have the systems to support it and use that as an excuse. It's kind of like, oh, I have this admin work, so I don't have time to do the donor stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm gonna sit behind here and, you know, do this data entry because that's a lot safer choice than, oh, I have to go talk to somebody, or, build a relationship, the possibility for rejection, all of the icky stuff that comes up when we do it. So I'm just gonna sit here. And I just want to say that because if somebody's listening and that's you, you are not alone. It's absolutely okay. One of my clients, Kylie, she's amazing. And she's like, I really want to do more major gifts, but I have all this admin. And then they got some systems and a person to support her. So the next problem was, oh crap, now I have to go raise all this money. Then the third problem was she was having so much fun, right? Meeting with donors and and all this stuff that I taught her. It was like, now she felt bad for the people who had to sit in the office all day. It's like, could this be this much fun? Like, yes, it is. So
Yes.
yes, it
Well,
is.
okay, so stick with me on this example because I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, and when I was in like the planning stages of it, somebody told me, you like, so if you're afraid of running out of water, and for those of you who don't know, Pacific Crest Trail is a 2,600 mile trail from Mexico to Canada.
Okay.
And so in the planning, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. Somebody said, so like if you're afraid of running out of water, then you're going to carry extra water. If you're afraid of running out of food, you're going to carry extra food. If or of being hungry, you're going to carry extra food. If you are afraid of being cold, then you are going to carry extra clothes. Okay, so I was afraid of running out of water, and so I always carried way too much water. And I think that that's similar in how, I mean, that's human nature, right? You're
Right.
compensating for things that you have fear around. And so if you're somebody who has fear, maybe your fear is around kind of that first step of interacting with a donor, or we can find lots of things to like procrastinating, right?
Yes.
Where you just keep procrastinating to like, so you don't have to actually do the work. And so if you are saying over and over and over again that, oh, I just have all this admin work, well, peel back a few layers. What
Yes.
is it that you're actually deep down inside worried about? Is it rejection? Is it that you're not going to meet expectations? Is it that you might exceed expectations? And that's a scary place to be.
Yes.
So if you're listening and if you're like, oh, I'm totally one of those people that like builds all the systems but then never actually like does the work or does, you know, what is the fear, the
Yes.
underlying fear there?
I actually just enrolled somebody in my influence course this morning who she said, I don't know, like these ROIs, and we're doing all this stuff and we're checking all the boxes and blah, blah, blah. And it was, everything's a balance. And that's one of the things that we can talk about is the balance, right? Because there's systems, but then there's the mindset and the relation. I said, it feels like we're out of balance. That, there's you're putting all it was okay, I have this system, magic wand, where's the money? Like I'm making my touches, and like, and I'm doing the things like, but okay. And it wasn't resonating. In fact, it wasn't resonating. In fact, it was kind of irritating some people, right? What they were doing, because I think it was starting to feel transactional.
Yeah,
So in a sense of like, there's no magic wand, there's no, right, there's no, so magic silver bullet or whatever that's going to be like, oh, if I have this, um, it is like looking at, okay, in that sense, there was like an over reliance on the systems, and I was like, okay, the work here is the real learning how to be a master relationship builder.
yep,
You're right. You're a master systems developer. Now let's go, because it's a balance, right? It's a balance, because
absolutely.
we're talking about creating remarkable donor experiences. So the systems are part of one piece of creating a remarkable donor experience. And I have a client right now who, and that's how I think how we met, because I was looking for people to help them build better systems, right? And that's how we connected. And because that's not my thing. I got a lot of things that ain't one of them. That's okay. Here come you, right?
Yep.
Now, because they've got this system and they've got the email system and they got the donor database, and they literally have to manually move people over. It's super clunky. They have a hard time segmenting, and tagging and doing things like that to really help them connect with who people are, how they came in to, their orbit and all things like that. I think that's pretty common. Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, and you mean just kind of the like people
The
being out of balance?
fractured systems and kind of silo operations.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting you say that because like I'm obviously a system, like I like to build systems. Absolutely. Made it a career. So many people think that I've just got like a system for literally everything. And really the idea is like you create these systems so that you can save time so that you can do the other things,
Right.
right? So that you know you can focus on donor. One thing that I really try to emphasize, I teach a lot about time management and productivity in addition to kind of the donor stewardship and donor retention side of things. But productivity really isn't the point. We set up these systems so that we can give ourselves time back in our day, not so that we can do more, but so that we can do less. I guarantee that
Ooh.
every single person who has us between your ears is doing too much and has too much on their plate and has an overflowing to-do list. And systems can maybe alleviate some of that, but what what I hope that it actually does is gives you the time, when allows you to go and pick up your kid from school. And when you ask, how was your day? Or you ask, what's something that you learned? You can be really present with them
Yeah.
because you don't have your mental to-do list going.
Yeah.
Or when you're sitting down with a donor, you can think strategically in the moment and have a real conversation and connect deeper, because building deep relationships with our donors, like that takes time, and that's not something that can really be automated or
Yes.
systematized. It's a relationship. It goes up and down, has some ebbs and flows. And so the idea of finding ways to save time or creating systems or, you know, being more productive is a lot more about doing less.
Yes. Yes. Have you ever heard of the book like Do Less? Um, okay, it's I think that's the name of it. And okay, now I gotta look it up real quick so I can cite it. Because if I bring it up, somebody's gonna. And this book was, you're gonna love this book. Okay, so this woman and her husband, they had a business, and she had a baby, and for like a year, at least a year, she worked 50% of the time, and it's called Do Less: A Revolutionary Approach to Time and Energy Management for Ambitious Women. Sound right? Okay, Kate Northrup is her name. She realized that she was only at 50%, but nothing changed. Like the business was fine. It didn't grow, but it didn't shrink.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, if I did 50%, what the hell was I doing the other 50% of the time? So it's all about to change the way you approach your life, to really embrace. It's not about output, right? It's about the outcome, like releasing some of like, oh, I have to make, the fancy, I have to stay up late and make the homemade cupcake, like whatever, like thing you need to do, as a mom or whatever. Um, to learn to have more by doing less. And which is so counterintuitive or antithetical to our culture, which is like, hustle, grind, work. And that's, again, I started the saying, ease and grace and flow, that's sustainable. Fun is sustainable. Resentment, grind, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And what I hear you saying, and what has been true in my life and, and the folks that I know and work with, is like the systems support that sustainability to allow you then to do less if you want, or to spend more time, in the places that are really going to drive outcome. I have found, and this is my own experience, anytime I try to job out the work of relationship building, like I had somebody
Oh, it
that I was
never
working with,
works.
for about 6 months to help me find speaking engagements. And I got a couple. If we stopped working together because it really wasn't connecting. It wasn't anything wrong. There wasn't anything right. But then all the relationships were hers, right? I didn't know these people, like, and she wanted, of course, keep those, and so I just realized, yeah, systematizing things so that I can do the work of relationship building. And I want to say one more thing about systems, which may feel surprising to people, is it makes you feel really supported. So like,
Yeah.
if I go down, right, some stuff's going to get done. It may not be to the degree, or like, I don't have to feel like I have to keep all the plates spinning at once. Like stuff it just happens, and it's such a good feeling. Everybody who knows me knows I have this big event in February, the Donor Attraction Forum. I literally planned for 6 months. I got sponsors. I had 900,000 people registered, and I got the flu between Thursday and Friday. First day, great. Second day, I was out, completely out, like so sick. And also, I hired people who had great systems. They had a script. They had everything lined out. I also built community with the speakers, all the other consultants, the experts. We had prep calls so that when I went down, they were like, we got this. It was just all
Yeah.
right there. So I could go be, it was such a bummer. And also like, I mean, it snowed 6 inches that day. I didn't even know it snowed until like 11 o'clock that night. Like that's how sick I was. I'm like, oh my God, why is it so light out? Oh, look at that. Like that's how down I was. I wasn't better for about a week. And but systems, I guess so many of us struggle with isolation and like we have to do it alone. So the systematizing things, that can help you build those support systems, right? A support system inside your organization so that even if there's blips happening or there's things happening, those are things that are still getting done. And for me, I just know that isolation and feeling like you're carrying the whole thing on your back is a big, big issue for folks. And building these systems can to support your work can help you, to help you alleviate that feeling.
Yes, absolutely. And it goes a step further because if you think about, let's just talk about like the human experience, like donor behavior, right? So you we live in a world where we like our instant gratification, right? Like I order something from Amazon, I want it. I mean, on the farm, it's like Prime is like 2 or 3 days, but it shows up in my doorstep. I order something,
Yeah.
I order pizza, it arrives. Like I want that instant gratification. So where systems are also great is in supporting that instant gratification that donors need, because once a donor hits like donate on that donation button, they are then kind of okay, so they were pumped, they're excited, so then they get that dopamine hit, and then that buyer's remorse starts to kick in. They're wondering like, did they receive my donation? Is it going to go and is it going to do what I want it to do? Are they going to appreciate it? Right? And so all of those questions start to go through the donor's mind. And on the other side, on the organization side, we're like, heck yeah, gift just came in. Let's celebrate. We can breathe a second. And so you're trying to find this balance between meeting the need of some of this instant gratification, needing to acknowledge the gift, reach out to the donor, have these connection points. Okay. And so where systems can come in, and really this is a lot of the work that I'm doing, because I've worked with so many small nonprofits that just don't have the capacity to follow up with every single donor within that, the 24 to 48 hour. They want to, they would love to, but when you're also running a program and doing your books and all the other things that you have on your plate, you just sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
And so, but then if you think kind of beyond that relation or beyond that first gift, so think about like your best friend, okay, growing up, your best friend growing up. When I invited this best friend to, wasn't my best friend yet, but I invited her to my birthday party, and I wasn't sure, if she was going to come, and then she did. And then she came to my birthday party in third grade, where my mom thought that frozen yogurt and diet root beer was a good idea for root beer fights. We went through that experience together. And then she was there when I didn't make the basketball team in middle school. And then she was there when cheering me on and being like, no, skater shoes underneath your prom dress. Yes, do it. Okay, so over the years, we had all of these connection points. We invested time and energy and lived experiences and ups and downs with each other. And if you think about your donors, okay, when they make that first gift, your next job is to then invite them to the birthday party, to bring them in.
Yes.
To help them start to understand what it's like inside your organization. Because now, do I talk to my best friend from second grade every single day? No, I don't. But I know that if I called her and I was like, hey, Sarah, I'm in a jam, she would be there in a heartbeat, no questions asked, because we have built that relationship equity over the course of our life. Now, for your donors, that is something that you are striving for. You want to build that loyalty and help them become champions of your organization, so that if you have a funding gap, or a big project, or something major pops up, you can call them and be like, hey, Marianne, I got something. We got to take care of this. Is this something you're interested in supporting? They're going to be like, yeah, I get it. I trust you. You have proven time and time again,
Right.
and so that relationship equity that we're building is critical to the sustainability of our organization. But you got to invite them to the birthday party. You
Right.
gotta have these touch points, which is hard to just get them in. I'm mixing a lot of metaphors here, but like, get them in the front door and make sure that they are connecting using a little bit of automation, using some very intentional workflows
Right.
to make them feel supported right away. That feels true and authentic and genuine to your organization, and to who
Right.
you are.
Yes. Okay, I have a couple of things, and then I want you to give me an example. Okay,
Yeah.
of right. Okay. Sometimes I think people think that automation is not authentic, right? That we are being inauthentic by creating automated systems or responses. So you can address that. Um, the second thing is, I love your story about your friend, because I always bring it down to, if I had a friend, like if I had a friend and every time I saw that friend, they asked me for something, you know, like how long would I be friends with that person? Like that,
Right.
because if we look at it interpersonally, we can understand how people are receiving things. So I love that you have that. And then one of the things that I think people can really do a better job of systematizing is the event follow-up.
Oh, yes.
Because let me
100%.
just tell you, you stir up all this energy, all this excitement, and people go home and you're exhausted because you've been working 12-hour days to get this thing in, and you just want to be done with this damn gala or whatever it is. And but if but I'm working with people like, okay, the next day, like if I can set it up in advance that the next day they get an email that says, thank you for attending, you pop in a couple pictures, right? Because the longer it goes, the more it's winding down, and then it's winding down, and then they get something a week later, like how can I keep it's about taking that energy and keeping it, like keeping it going, keeping it in flow. And the same thing of, hey, they hit that donate button, they're on a high,
Yep.
so how can I invite them in? What can I connect them to? What can I, I work a lot on this, like developing that donor process. But it's, yeah, what can I invite them into? Not as an ask, but as a relationship builder, which is what your birthday party story was, right? That you invited her there to build on a relationship. But I think sometimes people can feel that automation can be impersonally. I don't know, maybe we're moving past this. I don't know, since almost everything is automated. And I know it's not to me. I know it, but I still see my name and I'm like, oh, it feels good. You know?
Yeah, it can be. It can be really transactional and feel really icky, and I think that something that I know that I do, that my team does, is we spend a lot of time trying to really find and understand the voice of the organizations that we're working with. And it doesn't, like, whether I'm working with you or you're doing this on your own, you know, focusing on, like, I read some emails sometimes, and I see like, oh, they wrote this to everyone instead of writing to just one person.
Right.
And so when you're writing a somebody just donated, and you see that donation comes in, comes into your inbox, that notification or whatever, and you respond right away, like, I use like 15 exclamation marks, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so amazing, I love it, you're the best, thank you so much. Like, it's just, the excitement is there. I'm meeting that excitement, you
Yes.
know?
Right.
And so when, like, for example, when we are working with organizations, we really try to find their voice. Like I have I have a friend who's a lawyer, and I have a friend who um, who like is an event planner. They speak very different, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And so you want to make sure that you're writing, you're finding that voice that's speaking to just one person. And and then it's being really intentional about what are those steps. So you have that, the initial like email that's auto generated right when somebody makes a gift. Okay, we all know that is automated. I worked with actually the Missouri Symphony, and we did a big kind of automation stewardship project, and the executive director, he messaged me. He's like, I am getting stopped on the street with these emails. And I was like, my heart kind of like jumped into my throat, and I was like, uh-oh, is that a good thing? He's like, no, people are coming up to me. Multiple people are coming up to me saying, I loved your email. I felt like you were talking right to me. I learned more about the organization. People felt nurtured and they felt taken care of.
Yes.
And, and the executive director was like, I knew that like we'd set up, I didn't know which email exactly really struck a chord with them, but we spent a lot of time writing them in a way that felt, they were very intentional, and they really brought people along on a journey.
Yeah.
And just because you're automating, it doesn't mean that you aren't like you you're still writing it. It's still coming from you. I okay, so I somehow ended up the organizing our 4th of July parade in my teeny tiny town of 78 people in northern Iowa, and here we are. And so I definitely was like kind of flung into this position, and I knew the first thing that I needed to do was like set up some automations because I didn't have time for this. I was like, oh boy. And so one thing that my favorite automation, my favorite thing to do is to set up draft emails to land in my inbox, because I know that somebody is going to donate. I know that I'm going to want to follow up with an email. So I've written an email. I actually just took an email that I've already written. I put it into Zapier, connected it. And so every time somebody donates, that email lands in my draft folder. So then I can go in and I'm like, oh, it says Michael. I know that should be Mike, because, and then I'm going to say, you know, make a little note because I know.
So instead of the email going straight to the person, the email winds up in your draft folder.
Yeah.
So you can take it and customize it. Like
Yeah.
it says Michael, but you call him Mike, or, or like, gotcha.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I totally overthink my thank you notes because I'm like, well, I have to write something like totally special and unique for this donor. The donors don't even probably know each other. They aren't comparing notes on what their thank you note is.
Right.
And it's still coming from me. It's still something that I would have written. It's just landing in my inbox, and it's making it a little bit easy. There is no trophy for like working the hardest.
Yes.
So yeah, automation can feel, not feel genuine and feel inauthentic if you make it to.
Exactly.
But that's something that I try really, really hard to make it feel very, very personal and very connected to the organization and the impact, because
so we don't,
end of the
you
day,
can have both. You can have automation
automation.
and personalization. We don't have to
Yes.
sacrifice one for the other.
No.
Right. I call it, the magic third. City Wagon calls it secret option C. Like there is a place for both, and we can have both. All
Both
right.
and.
Yes. And so this time is flying. I would love to share just a little bit like how you work with organizations and how people can connect with you if they, are interested in creating, better systems for what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm I love coming into organizations. One thing that we didn't really touch on is kind of this really the system side of things, because oftentimes our organizations, we sign up for a CRM and then realize that it doesn't connect to our email marketing, and then we're uploading and downloading spreadsheets, and honestly, who has time to upload and download spreadsheets? And then we don't, and then people aren't communicated with, and it's inconsistent, all of that stuff. So a big part of what I do is get into organization systems. I do a system audit and recommendation, and along with the the automation side of things. So within the nonprofit automation agency, our team comes in and we have 5 specific automations that we do to really focus on your donor stewardship and increasing that donor retention, increasing your revenue. But before we can even get there, we have to make sure that your systems are talking to each other.
Right.
And that's one of the big pieces that we do within our projects and the client work that I do, is getting in there and I'm going to use a bunch of words that might, you might all want to like run and hide, but like making sure that things integrate and that they're mapping correctly, and that because you have to make sure, if you're going to be sending emails that are super personal and feel, really genuine, you have to make sure that your data is correct and that your data is clean. So if you have, somebody has their first name is all in caps, or if in the first name field it's first name and last name, well, those are giveaways that like this is automated.
Yes.
So spending that time making sure that things are clean and the information is all coming to one central location, so that that the information or the kind of the touch points that you're about to create for this new donor, they're going to work. Right. And so really mapping that out. And so that's the work we do. I'm small shop strategies. You can think of that as like the time management, system building, and then the automation agency is really building these incredible and remarkable donor experiences.
Yes. So remember, the systems stabilize. My theme last year was systematize to stabilize. So that was all about system building, because that's what stabilizes an organization. Because if you're in a roller coaster place where it's, highs and lows, like the systems will stabilize. And then those things are just like cranking for you. And then, right. And now you have all these tools working for your benefit and working together so that you can then do that real work of the relationship building. Yeah. And that's the fun stuff.
Yeah. And making sure that people that you serve are getting the resources that they need, which
exactly. Moving that mission.
That mission.
Now, I want to wrap up, and I always have the same closing question. You said, how many people are in your town?
There are 78.
78. I don't know if there's a karaoke bar in that town.
Oh yeah, no.
Well, but if you ever find yourself in a karaoke, if we are ever come to St. Louis, we'll go to karaoke. What is your go-to number?
Ooh,
and why?
Probably She's in Love with the Boy, which is so like Martina McBride. Like
Martina McBride. Yeah, she's in love with the boy.
Yep.
Is that your farmer story?
No, like not even a little bit. Like I've just like randomly love that song. I think that might be, but like I think that would be my song, but also I will never end up at a karaoke bar. Like ever. That is, I have like that's making me feel sweaty just talking about it.
That's anxiety producing right now.
Oh, don't make me sing in public.
Okay. Nope. I promise then.
But I think that would be it's funny that's the song that popped up, because
that's a good song. So people always say, oh, I don't sing, or I don't like karaoke. I don't need any more singers. What's my dream? A full bar, no singers, heck yeah, one woman show.
What's yours?
Oh, I have a list. I have a list, but I've been doing a lot of I do new stuff and old stuff. Like I've been doing a lot of Dua Lipa. I like her. She's fun to sing and people like it and stuff like that. If I really
Amazing.
want to freak people out, I sing MILF Money Fergie.
So
Because you're like,
good.
okay. Yeah. So, but I have a list and I don't want to, your anxiety is, going up.
Little sweaty.
That's all right. Well, thank you so much. It is, small, okay. Your website and all this is going to be in the show notes so you can find Rachel. You're on LinkedIn, you're on Instagram, and nonprofitautomationagency.com, right? That's the website. But the links are going to be in the show notes. Don't worry about it. And I don't know if you need resources on your website or anything people can access. Yeah.
I've
Oh,
got
tons.
all the resources.
Okay.
Yeah, in the show notes, I will. There's Small Shop Strategies and the agency, and you can grab the ebook or the e-course. And then I've been doing this for years, and so I've got templates for days. You check out Pinterest.
Oh,
I've got a little bit
yay.
of everything.
Okay.
So
So go
yeah,
dig around there and get all those free resources and get yourself on the automation and systemization journey. Thanks, Rachel,
absolutely.
for being here. You did wonderful. You, you were great, and I appreciate it. And if you want to get in touch with Rachel, again, it's in the show notes. And please jump on that website and get the free resources. That's why we have them, so people will take them. And
Absolutely.
this is it for me. If you want to connect more with me and learn how to be a more influential leader and how to enroll people in a vision and get people to do what you want them to do, without having to be pushy um, or sassy or whatever, let me know. My link is always in the show notes. You can connect with me, and I'm happy to talk with you. In fact, I love talking with people on those one-on-one calls. I bet you do too, Rachel. And I will see you next time on the Influential Nonprofit.